Earlier today, I was talking with one of my co-workers about the upcoming Harry Potter series that they've got coming out, and how recently they announced the castings for Harry, Hermione, and Ron, right? During that discussion, we started to touch on a topic about racial diversity and inclusion and race swapping. And anyone that knows me knows my position on all of these things. And that position has been the same position forever. I do not like the fact that they have made Snape black. I'm just going to come out and say it. You can get mad if you want to. You can cry about it in the comments. I could care less. I do not like the fact that years ago, they decided to make Ariel black. You can be mad about it. You can cry in the comments. I should really just give a disclaimer now, to be honest. It's slightly late, but I should just give the disclaimer that you may or may not like what I have to say in this video, but it needs to be said. See, one of the things that my co-worker said, and it's something that I'm going to touch on to open this topic up, is he said, well, I don't see why it's a problem if we race swap characters, because so long as race swapping isn't important to the character, why does it matter? This is a very common argument. You've heard people say this a million times, right? Oh, well, the race doesn't matter to the character story, so why does it matter? I'll tell you why. Iconography matters. Cultural consciousness matters. Cultural memory matters. And I would argue that matters more than diversity. If I have to take a character like Ariel, and I'm going to make a live action version of her, and I say, we could make her Asian, black, Hispanic, whatever. We could make her hair pink. We could make it green. We could make her hair silver. It's still mythical. She's a mermaid still. But we're going to change something else about her. Right? If I had the choice between doing that or just doing a literal live action version of the image that everyone had from their childhoods, I'm picking this option every single time. And it's for a very simple reason. Because when people grow up with a certain image, when people grow up with certain icons, when they become global phenomenons, for you to then decide to just change that on a whim, you are being disrespectful to the legacy of that character. You are being disrespectful to all those people's childhoods, and you are being disrespectful to the cultural memory that we all have. And the reality is, and this is just the flat out truth, that shit never works in reverse. To my co-worker and all these people who often make this argument of, well, if the race doesn't matter, then why does it matter? Here's my question to you. If they changed Blade into a white dude, how would you feel about that? The same people who support the race swapping of Snape, the race swapping of Ariel, those same people, if it was that they then race swapped Blade, you guys would be mad as fuck, and rightfully so. I'd be right there with you. Unless there was some actual context, like it was a multiverse type of thing or whatever, unless it was something like that, unless they gave an actual narrative context for why the hell Blade's white, I would be pissed. I'd be pissed. But you see, it's not hypocritical of me to be pissed, because I'm pissed when they do it to white characters. That's the difference. That is the key difference. If I made a video being outraged about Blade being white, I'm not a hypocrite, because I will the same day drop a video being outraged about Snape being black. Now some of you will be like, again, it doesn't matter. Why does it matter? So long as the actor is good. Again, do you have that same energy if they was to whitewash a character? Do you? If they was casting for Blade and a white dude came in and he just smoked the audition and he was just way better than everyone else, would you be willing to accept that? You know you wouldn't. You know you wouldn't. So that argument is null and void. That argument is, it's useless. It's intellectually dishonest. It's disingenuous. Because you know you are not willing to maintain that standard across the board. And if you're not willing to maintain it across the board, you need to do away with it. Let's discuss another argument. Another common argument is, well, mermaids are fictional creatures. So why does it matter? Right? Snape's a fictional character. It's just fiction. It's not that serious. Again, would you apply that same standard to black characters who are fictional? No, you wouldn't. Like these are two separate arguments. The argument about, oh, the race doesn't matter to the character, and the argument about they're fictional are two separate things. They're very close a lot of the time, but they are two separate arguments. My point is in either case, they shouldn't be swapped. And it goes further than this. It goes further than just the surface level of, oh, you know, is it important to the narrative or not? It goes further than that. Because in my personal opinion, cultural memory alone is enough reason not to do it. I'm going to give you guys an example. Right? I'm going to give you guys a very interesting example. If you guys know the black woman who was in Dune, right? The recent Dune adaptations that came out, part 1 and 2. Most of you probably don't know, but the character that woman plays originally was a white dude with blonde hair in the books. Now, I know this because I've read the Dune books, okay? But most people who watch the Dune movie have never read the books, okay? They're too old, right? Maybe a little bit too verbose, a bit too heavy for them. So they've not read the books. And the character that she was playing, that she depicted, is not an iconic character. It's not a character that millions upon millions of people grew up identifying with, having posters of them on their wall and, you know, sitting there rewatching, you know, iconic scenes. And that character is not part of the majority of our childhood memories. It's not something we cherish. When they made that character into a black woman, whilst there would be some people that were upset about it, by and large, the average person who's going to watch the Dune movie is not going to be triggered because they don't have any reference for who that character is or why they would give a fuck. See, this is a nuance about race swapping that a lot of people seem to overlook. In my personal opinion, you shouldn't do it. But if you are going to do it with characters that don't have significance to the average person. That's who you do it to. The moment they race swapped Ariel, every single person, their mum, their dog, their aunts, everyone knows. Everybody knows what you did. No one needs to go and see a reference or, oh, did you know originally Ariel was black? You know, like you have them videos like 10 facts you didn't know. Ain't gonna be no 10 facts you didn't know. It's a fact everyone knows. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows. Because she's too iconic. And I don't think you guys realize, but you sit there and think it's a W. Black people, I'm talking to you right now. A lot of you sit there and think it's a W. You think it's a win whenever racial diversity happens. Whenever they just put race swapping and inclusion of black people in everything. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what the context is. You don't care. So long as they shove a black face in a place, you don't care how goofy the place is. You don't care how ridiculous it is. You don't care how disruptive it is to people, to cultural memory. And in a lot of times, to the narrative too. You don't care. All you care about is, well, there's a black person there and I can relate. That's what you care about. So I'm now going to ask you guys a very, very important question. Is it better for you to go and take white characters and race swap them and blackwash them than to have original black characters? Especially those from black creatives. Is it better? Is it better? Would you prefer that every black character you see on the silver screen is just picked and plucked from white people and we'll have that one, we'll have that one, we'll make him black, we'll make her black, she can be Asian now? Oh, I think you'd look great looking Latin. We're going to make you Hispanic. Is that better than people from those backgrounds creating their own characters and for them to get that put on the silver screen? For that to get put on the stage? Which one is better? You want to know what the sad part is? I can see some of you being like, why not both? And that right there is the problem. And that's why when people give you backlash and when people are mad, I can't even be mad at them. I can't be mad at them. I mean, why would I be mad at them? I'm in agreement with them. But even if I somewhat can understand and sympathize with the idea of having more representation and all of that, I'm not against that. And I don't think most people are. There's going to be some people who definitely are. It doesn't matter how it's done, they're going to always hate. But the majority of people don't have an issue with that. We know this because characters like I just brought up, like Blade, everyone fucking loves Blade. Everyone loves Blade. Okay? Whenever Blade is on screen, everyone's losing their mind. I don't see anyone mad about it. Why is there a black guy on screen? No one's saying that. They don't have an issue with anyone non-white being in certain roles or positions so long as it makes sense. And the problem is it's not only just about it making sense, because again, this goes back to the argument of, well, narratively, it does make sense because the narrative didn't hinge upon their race. You're right. But what you're wrong for is you do not seem to understand that iconography is important. It is. And I don't know why more people don't bring that up. It's a very simple thing. It's a very simple, straightforward reason as to why a lot of people get pissed. As I said, you take a character like the woman from Dune, no one knows that not only did they do a gender swap, not only did they sex swap the character, but they also race swap. So you got a double whammy there. You got a double for diversity in that one. And no one gives a fuck. Most people love Dune. A lot of the people that would criticize The Little Mermaid, a lot of the people that are criticizing the Harry Potter adaptation, a lot of those people love Dune. So much so, some of them call it the Star Wars killer. Some of them are saying it's better than Star Wars right now. That's how much some of these people love Dune. And they don't give a fuck that there's a black woman in that role. You know why? Because they don't even realize that the character originally wasn't black or wasn't a woman, because they don't know the source material. And for any of you out there who are aspiring creators, or you are creators, authors, any type of writers, you know, if you make comics, anime, any type of thing like animation, anything like that, I want you guys to understand as storytellers that this matters to people. If you happen to create something and someday it becomes iconic, you have to understand that the people who become attached to those characters and those images, they want to see that respected forever. They're never going to want to see that image disrespected, because for them, it's important. It's something that they have held onto. It's part of who they are. And that's the truth. Stories are part of who we are. And it's a massive part of the identities that we form throughout our lives. And however corny or silly you might think it is, yes, a character like Ariel and her being white with red hair, that was a big part of a lot of people's childhoods. And at the end of the day, when you decide to change that, you're disrespecting those people. It's not about the fact that you can't have black mermaids. You can. But the question is why did you have to take one that was iconic instead of creating a new one? And to Disney, the question that I've always asked in regards to this specific thing is, you already have a black Disney princess. Why don't you adapt her? And don't worry, we ain't even going to talk about the fact that in her movie she's a frog for most of it. We ain't going to... I'll let you slide with that one. But why don't you do a live action adaptation of her film? That's all I'm saying. Right? Because another one of the big issues that I have with it is also the fact that when they do this, it's extremely lazy. And what they do is they use this sort of half-assed band-aid version of diversity and inclusion to kind of sidestep having to actually give black creatives the position and the ability to put their creations and their work front and center. Because at the end of the day, it's still Disney and Disney's character. To me, as a creative, I find that to be the worst part of it. I find that more insulting than anything else. Are you that creatively bankrupt you can't do it? I don't actually think so. A lot of you guys would say they are. I don't think so. I don't think so. There's a lot of creative people, talented people who work at Disney. Not just Disney. The people who are doing this show for Harry Potter, there's undoubtedly a lot of creative, smart, amazing people who are part of that team. They could easily have just made Snape what he was. But they said, no. No, we're gonna do something else. And let me be very clear, because this is a part you guys don't seem to understand, right? I have no doubts that it's possible that this dude could play Snape amazingly, that he could be a phenomenal actor. I have no doubts about that. The problem is, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because the truth of the matter is because of how iconic Snape was with Alan Rickman, and especially because Alan Rickman died, he passed away, that role is forever going to be legendary. And this dude, I'm sorry, I don't care if he's the greatest acting we've ever seen. It is going to be extremely difficult to get the crowd to pick him over Alan Rickman. I don't think it's happening. I don't. Remember, I said that today. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think you guys will be revisiting this video in a few years from now and telling me, actually, you was wrong. Everyone loves him. I don't think it's happening. I think some people will love him. I think some people won't give a fuck. But I think overall, people are going to critique the fuck out of him. You're going to see 1,000,001 videos online of people dissecting him and talking about why he's trash and how they're disrespecting the character and all kinds of shit. I'm telling you, it's coming. It's inevitable. And the fact that I can call that out way before we've even got anything going on, way before there's any filming or footage, that should let you know how foolish it is. But they keep doing it. And I think at some point, you have to ask yourself, why? Why do they keep pushing this stuff? Even in the instances where it literally drives them to financial ruin, why do they keep doing it? Because at that point, I'm sorry, you are pushing an agenda. Now, I'll say this, as someone who actually understands stories and understands media, I do understand that historically, stories have always been used to push agendas. So that's nothing new. But the problem is, in today's world, we are hyper sensitive to that fact. We are hyper aware of advertisements, right? Of people trying to sell things to us. We have a resistance to it that we didn't have before. And so people have to be smarter about how they do these things. And what's very interesting is whilst a lot of other people were trying to adjust their marketing strategies to become smarter and slicker with how they're able to reach customers without intruding upon their sensibilities, these production companies and a lot of these media outlets, they seem to be doing the complete opposite and going full pelt into being explicit. Like, they come out with full press releases explicitly like, diversity is at the top of our priorities. We're so happy about how much inclusion we have. Could you tell us what's good about the story? Could you tell us why we should give a fuck about the characters? Could you tell us why your adaptation is actually going to stay truthful and faithful? Could you tell us a bit more about that? Diversity. Inclusion. And you wonder why people have no faith in those things. You wonder why people give a backlash. You wonder why people get pissed. It's very simple. There is nothing wrong with diversity. You could easily achieve these things. You could easily have people be in agreement with these things. You just have to do it with some tact. And with some sense. And with some respect. Stop taking characters that people are attached to and swapping them out. Stop doing it. Because again, if the shoe was on the other foot, you guys would be pissed. And you would have every right to be. So stop being hypocrites. Stop using it as a band-aid and as a way to escape having to actually put in some creative elbow grease. Okay? Yes. Get in the trenches. Alright? Open up an empty document and actually generate some shit. Use some imagination. You know, something that we used to pride ourselves on being able to do as storytellers. Go out and find works if you don't want to do that. Go and find works to adapt. Find new creative voices from all these diverse backgrounds because we exist. Go and find them and adapt their stuff if that's what you want to do. Right? Then no one can get mad at you and say, oh, well, you know, you're race swapping and blah, blah, blah. Now, if people still don't want to watch it, they don't want to engage with it, that's their prerogative. It's their money. They can do what they want. But at least on your end of things, you know that you're trying to do things in a way that is respectful. And also helps to promote and give opportunities to people who are underrepresented and marginalized, right? If you actually genuinely cared about supporting those people, I would think you would care more about supporting their original works and pushing them rather than just reskinning your shit. Because don't think I didn't notice that's really all you're doing. What we need is we need to have more stuff that appreciates and respects all of us. Snape being black is not a W. It never will be. He will forever be compared to Alan Rickman. And that is the shadow of a giant that he cannot live up to. And I don't know if you guys realize this, but the fact that they keep putting black people in that type of position, that in and of itself, to me, is disrespect. You guys are not thinking. You're not. But hopefully, with my little rant here, hopefully I can help inject some new thoughts into your head. Hopefully you can start to look at situations and subjects like this with a bit more nuance. Anyway, I appreciate any of you that have listened till the end of this video. Now, I'm sure many of you are going to have issues and you're going to slide in the comment section and you're going to be crying and whining, and look, that's all right. I don't mind. Just make sure you stay somewhat productive with it, okay? If you're going to complain, if you're going to disagree with me, if you're going to give me rebuttals, that's fine. All is fair. But keep it on the topic. All right? I don't want to hear nothing about my Buddha canvas in the background or my hood and cap or whatever. I don't want to hear about none of that, okay? I don't want to hear about none of that. I just want to hear about the topic. Just keep it like that. Keep it productive. And maybe we can get somewhere. All right? I appreciate you guys for listening. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.